Good evening, everybody. And you can see
I'm
he's
back.
alive and kicking. Yay.
I didn't die. No, I have returned. Yes.
From the
Only a
land
slight
of
cough.
land of man flu, yeah?
Yes. I know it mutated. Bird flu mutated into man flu, and I barely survived, but I have returned.
Well, I'm sure that everybody is over the moon to see you back. And tonight, it's our Destiny's Dispatch, where we're going through adventure calls. Shall we have a look to see who's in the chat?
Yes, let's have a good look. Yes.
Okay, so we have a Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hiya, Michael. Good to see you.
He's getting lost again. Look, he better not be driving. He keeps watching our stuff while he's driving.
Yes, and who got dispatched? Yes.
Eric's going to make us all coffee. Mine's black. I like mine black.
I'll have mine white, no sugar. Thanks very
There
much.
you go.
Nice and strong.
Absolutely. And we have a Jeffrem. Hello, Jeffrem.
Hello, Jeffrem. Good to have you here.
Oh.
And just popping in.
It's a Paladin Steve. Long time no see, Paladin Steve.
I'll say this already. There seems to be issues with YouTube and numbers and all sorts. I don't know what they've been doing of late, but if we do miss anything on your chat, I'm about to start driving. Shh. No, Michael, you do not tell us what to do. You're not the boss of us.
No, we're the boss of you. I thought you all knew that.
Yes.
Just drive careful.
Yeah,
we love you all too much for anything. Oh, we have. Look who we've got, Dean.
Oh, we got
we've got Melinster Gundalaw. There we go. How are you? Lovely to see you in the chat.
Good to see you
pleased
again.
You could make it. So yes, adventure calls.
It does. It always calls, does it not? If you're born with it. Yes. The need to wander, the need to explore, the need to find all that lovely loot.
Loot? Did you mention treasure?
I mentioned a musical instrument. I'm a bard. No.
Oh,
and we got a lost law scholar. Thank you, Jack.
Is it my imagination or is baby scholar teething?
I have heard rumours that there've been murmurings. Yes.
Bless.
Oh. Right.
He comes in, steals the crown and runs away. I mean,
I know. We're going to have to go hunting for that crown now. It's an adventure. Does that count as a hook?
I do believe it does count as an adventure hook. There is a crown. It has been lost. The lost law scholar was the last person to be seen with it, but he was in a cavern far, far away, never to be seen again. It is rumoured that he got caught. He got caught and encased in a large dummy that was then...
I do not like where this is going.
It's just going wrong. But never mind. We've got the lost law scholar lost in a cavern with the crown, and we've got to go and find him, which is definitely an adventure. So good night, Jack. Love to the family, and I hope you actually get some sleep as we have a Low Eves arrive. Hello,
Low Eves. Good to have you here.
So other than the fact that Jack's got lost with the crown and in the cavern, we're going to start off with adventure hooks, aren't we, Dean?
We are. It's all about adventures on this week. Adventure calls. And when adventure calls, how do you get the players to go along with it?
Well,
yes.
I thought you just basically told them in which direction to go. Is that not right?
Sometimes that can work. It depends how much time you've got. If you're dealing with a really good old-fashioned group and there's a dungeon next to a town and you go, you're in this town, there's the dungeon, the players will all know what to do.
But that doesn't always work, though, does it?
Doesn't
because
always
sometimes they just want to sit in the tavern and drink.
Yes. Yes, they do. Or they want to go exploring the world, or they just want to do anything other than what you've got
Mm.
planned for the session. Which is why session 0 is so important, to get the expectations right on what you're going to be doing. But getting the right hook can make all the difference for a player being slightly resistant or feeling they're being railroaded, to actually thinking, yes, my character's going to do this, and I will role play my character doing this, and I will actually feel quite natural going with the flow of the adventure. But it's, how do you craft that really good adventuring hook?
Now, I have to say that I've been very lucky because I've been in a lot of your games. So, oh, it's a
We've got a
sci-fi
sci-fi
snob.
snob, and yes, you're right. They could be messing with the GM.
Yes, I have seen players do that, and it's
Yes,
mean.
it's not good.
So, yeah, how do you encourage your players to go in the right direction? I mean, there's nothing worse than you can't go over that hill because it's impassable. That forest is impenetrable. There's a cavern, there's a horrible crevice over there that you can't pass. So you have to go in this direction. So, Dean, you've been GMing for a long time, and I'm lucky enough to have been in a lot of your games. So, how have you convinced us, who are a fairly unruly bench, to actually sort of go in the right direction? But before we do that, I am just going to go this, because you read it at the same time I did.
I did.
Session 0, poofed. My games have been running for so long. 0 is well beyond my rear view mirror. People coming to my table get to sink or swim.
I love it.
I love that because we've never called it we never used to call it a session 0.
No, we didn't.
used to call it sort of character creation, and I still do. So I don't know where session 0 ever actually came from.
Session 0 was a more modern interpretation of, and a more official way of saying, you should get all your players together and talk about oh, we're being
yes,
unruly?
yes. You could
Oh,
tell
dear.
we're both getting over a cold. Every so often you
yes,
just
you
see us
can.
both go.
Oh, where was I? Yeah, session 0 was more an official term on setting expectations, going through character creation, letting the players know what the rules of the game were, making sure everybody understood what was at play, making sure the players were happy playing that game, and the GM or DM was happy having those players around the table. We used to call it getting together and creating characters and then talking about the campaign. But
and getting excited.
And getting very excited. However, Merlin, I understand that completely. Where you've got a long-running game, and this is, I think, just before I met Vicky, I had a game that was running for like 2-3 years, and you would have players leave, players join, and the players who joined, yeah, it was sink or swim. It was like, right, the party are this level, you got this much XP, this much to spend on magic items, and come up with a nice backstory. This is where they all are, and turn up and jump in.
And I've seen you do that frequently. So yeah, it's good fun though. But those adventure hooks for those people who come along, what has your most successful adventure hooks been, Dean?
See, now I'm one of the most recent ones, and it's one that I was quite proud of, because doing a one-shot or a 3-shot, as it were, especially live, I think it was my first live one, which was with Jack, and we had Veritas and Brass with us.
Oh, yes, you did, didn't you? Yeah.
And that was, it was so nerve-wracking. But
I didn't get to play in that one.
You did not get to play. No, you weren't invited.
I
No
got
girls
banned.
allowed.
There
Yes.
was no girls allowed.
But having had a chat with Jack and his background, I leapt on something, which is he had this fascination with flowers. So I gave him this hook, which was, you're coming up to this incredible alignment of the 2 moons of Kaseya, which has a massive effect on the tides. So he was based in Midway, and Midway is built across this lava flow. So it's this huge, you're talking probably about 100-mile wide river of slow flowing lava and magma. And I said at that point, it would subside. it would subside. Sorry, very tired. It would subside and reveal the opening to the Devil's Sphincter, which is a location that can only be accessed. And the flower one, there was a rare flower that he had come across, someone discussing it and talking about it and looking to explore this area for this rare flower. And I said, this is your chance to follow in the footsteps of this explorer if you want to get that flower. And Jack was like, yeah, my character would love to do that. And then the other two just had a chat with them, got their backgrounds, and they had links in with Jack's background, and it just kind of all came together like that. So session 0, Jack led the hook and went, guys, we can make a mint. We are doing this. And that was great because I could just sit back and let that happen. And those rare hooks where you got the right backgrounds, you come up with the right adventure to begin with, the players pretty much run it forward, and there's no railroading because the players want to do what you've prepared, and that's when the magic works. But the barest you need, an adventure hook, a good adventure hook has to convince the players rather than the characters. And players are motivated by just a few things: money, magic, and fame. And if you tie those kind of in and give them a reason to gain 1, 2, or 3 of them, often that's enough to get the players going, oh, wow, we could find this, we could find that, we could find, oh yeah, we're going. And that's it at its basic, I think.
I'm going to just switch to a couple of bits from the chat before I come back to adventure hooks, if that's all right with you, my dear.
Of course,
I'm going to railroad you. There we go. So Jeff from Denkart is currently working on an adventure setup for Rift's game based in Europe. That sounds really interesting.
That does, yeah, because Rifts, you got one of the things I find fascinating in Europe is a mix with this is the ley lines they've got in Rifts. And I can imagine you could, in fact, Jeffrey, is Stonehenge going to be in your game? And is Stonehenge going to be a nexus of a lot of these ley lines?
There you go. Hints and tips from Mr. Leyline himself.
Yes, it's been a while since I played Rifts, but I loved it. Really enjoyed it.
Haven't actually played Rifts. We just never quite got round to playing Rifts. We always had our sort of go-tos, didn't we? We either
did.
playing D&D, AD&D, Shadowrun, Earth Dawn, with our main sort of trifecta, really, that we used to play. But yes. So from Merlin's Gandalore, I'm just going to call you Merlin's. When I run public games, I do try to make sure players know what's coming. Not in a my way or a highway tone, of course, but I need to understand that I'm here to entertain them, just to adjudicate. I do understand that. Yeah, it's all about the fact that you've got to move the story on, but adjudicate, which is always key. Yes, I'm not here to entertain them. I got that one.
Yeah.
So yes, Jeffrey, I can imagine setting up takes a bit of time. So as for the adventure hook, they wake up after spending a week on a slaver barge and discover the ship crashed. So what to do next? Fight the remaining guards, loot gear and magic items, run, or a mix. That leads me on to an adventure hook I used when I ran my first ever campaign. Now, guys, I'd like you to all understand that me running was rare, absolutely rare. And
I just want to say, ahoy there, Bear.
Hello, Bear. So it was quite rare. I'd never GM'd before. And then I was actually running a table where I had Dean, the GM, and I had about 3 other also GMs at the table. And I'd never GM'd before.
You were fine.
Yeah, it was all right. But I actually started them off, and they were all in a tavern, just to be really and utterly boring. But the next thing they knew is they woke up in the hold of a ship and they'd been press ganged. So that was quite good fun. And we actually managed to convince you to undertake, in order for that sort of money, freedom, etc., some quite juicy sort of quests off the back of that, didn't we? But that worked
Yes,
quite well.
it worked well because you had some very understanding players who weren't going to kick up a fuss and wanted the
Oh, you
adventure
all
to move
tried.
forward. Yes, you got to have that bit of role play. You can't just accept the fact you've been press ganged. So you need that little bit of role play, but it's knowing where to draw the line.
Yeah.
And a hook like that is a great hook. I've had hooks where you've all started waking up in a prison or somewhere like that, and then you're having to escape or do something like that. I think there's a great,
or your village has been attacked. That's another great one, isn't it?
it's a beautiful one. You know, and it's an old one actually. It's one that got overused a lot back in the day. But you know, get a nice background. Tell me who your family were, and in the first session, I'm going to burn it all to the ground. And that sets up a load of motivations. Who's burnt it to the ground? You get to glimpse of the big bad. You now want revenge, and you get all these hooks kind of thrown into one thing. But yes, it's obviously the hook. Depending on if you're doing a one shot, an online, a short campaign online, something like that. Timers, there's time constraints. It's very important to let your players know that this is what you should expect. This is going to be a by the numbers through done, because you haven't got time to mess around. And if a player says, oh, but I want something more sandboxy, at least then you can say, well, you know, we haven't got time, it's online, we got these constraints, it's only a one shot, it's not designed to do that.
Yeah, I do think setting expectations is quite important. And I think that comes down to as well, it's having the right people at your table is important. They've got to want the same stuff out of the game as you do.
Yeah.
If you've got people with conflicting sort of needs, so someone who wants to go and be a murder hobo versus other people who want to adventure, you're going to have issues at the table. So I do think it's important to make sure that the people who are at your table actually want the same stuff as you do. Otherwise, you can have a very miserable GM and a very miserable table, and that's not what the game's
you
about.
will. And murder hobos aside, I mean, they're just that's a whole different subject, dealing with murder hobos. We're here to talk about adventures, adventure hooks.
We
and
are.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's just some of our adventure hooks that we've used in the past, and we were talking earlier, weren't we, about when you ran, what was it, Tyranny of Dragons?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
First foray into running 5e, and I thought, let's do a book adventure, Tyranny of Dragons. And it starts with their caravan guards heading to Greenest, and Greenest is under attack by a blue dragon. And
Yes.
immediately you've got so many conflicting things. It's not much of a hook. And then the further hook is they're asked to rescue a harper who's been captured by these cultists, which is Leosin, who I actually used as an NPC throughout the story. They became attached to the party, a liaison between the party and the various factions, managing. The party got given a tavern to stay in whilst they're at Waterdeep, so he managed the tavern and stuff, recovering from his ordeal with the cultists. But as a hook went, it wasn't a great hook. And I kind of went with the book. And at one point, you were all just going, this is too much for us to handle. And I was there thinking, yeah, I would never actually start an adventure like this. And I was concerned about it. But it was my first time running 5e. I trusted the book rather than my instincts. And do you know what? I would, if I was doing it again, I would do Tyranny completely different, and it would never start like that. It would start softly, quietly, stuff happening in the background whilst the party did other stuff. And then slowly the cult coming to the forefront, and slowly they get involved with what's happening, and then slowly it begins to speed up, and then you get the first Dracahorn sound, and that then kicks off the kind of race to stopping them. But yeah, it comes back to one of the things, a kind of anti-hook, how to not get your players hooked. And we've experienced this. If the hook is too over the top, it is just too I'm lacking the words here, which is
if
not
it's
good.
Overwhelming,
Overwhelming.
If it's overwhelming, if the players and the characters go, there is no chance in hell we can do anything about this.
Yeah.
It has a tendency to drive the characters and the players in the opposite direction. So I would say I would say that Tyranny of Dragons was a really good one, because you ended up you used the opener, but I think you sort of looked at it and went, well, that was just crap. You didn't trust your instincts because you hadn't played 5e.
And
was your
I
first-
just come out of my, I think it was about 6 months rest after running Pathfinder.
So you weren't very
Yeah.
trusting of
And
your
I was
own
very ill at
instincts.
the time still, so I was still recovering. Yeah.
Yeah, you were. So adding all that, you trusted the book when your gut told you not to.
Yeah.
But when I look at the whole of Tyranny, you then started changing it quite a lot, and you absolutely hated the end of Tyranny, so you changed that.
Oh,
So
completely rewrote that, yes.
In fact, 90% of Tyranny of Dragons you rewrote, but that starting adventure hook was the thing that told you not to trust the rest of the book. You were right in your initial gut feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole sort of, we ended up having a really good time with it, but I think it was only because you basically changed it.
Oh, I added quite a bit. I changed the NPCs. I altered a lot of what was happening to get you far more involved. Yeah.
Yeah, a homebrewed version of Tyranny Dragons. That's pretty much what we ended up with.
Yeah.
So after that adventure hook, which you absolutely hated, you ended up changing almost all of the rest of Tyranny of Dragons. You just used it as a general sort of guide and just ignored 90% of it. So Paladin Steve, you're not alone on there.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I wanted to highlight that. But we're not the only ones. Tyranny is crazy linear. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But like Paladin Steve, Dean made it very much not so linear, and we got to do lots of other things, which was really good fun. But you're right, the opening act is really, really, really aggravating.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And when we were we had a new GM who was was doing an adventure, and we were all trying to encourage them, trying to give them advice, and they started off with us being in one of the border towns on between so south of Greenest, and there were demons suddenly summoned into the tavern that we had to fight, and then
devils.
And devils, yeah, demons and devils. We won't get into that. Let's not get into the demon devil mixing, working together kind of nonsense. He just thought they were cool and worked well together.
Do you ever want to see Dean Twitch? I swear.
So these are demons, yes, and these are devils, yes, and then they're fighting with as in together against us, yes. Really? But anyway,
I swear it was like
no, I was quiet. But then there was this big energy orb that came up that blocked parts of the town, and it was just so much. It was overwhelming. It was just too much happening. And the first thing I did, I was playing a wizard at the time who was one of the he was a guild member of the Wizards of Waterdeep, and his first response was, what we are seeing here is far too powerful for our capabilities. We should go to Waterdeep and seek the Council of the Masked Lords and ask for help in dealing with this threat. The GM didn't like it. He was like, you're supposed to deal with it. And it's like, well, we're not going to, because it's just too big. We're only 3rd level, and you're throwing stuff at us that is just way beyond what we can cope with.
But I think that's the key thing when you're actually creating these adventure hooks. They need to feel achievable. They need to feel attainable. You need to feel as if as players, you can actually take them on, and that there's enough of a reward for putting your life on the line. Be that reward as in you're seen as heroes or monetary or whatever. You've got to have that sort of. You've got to have that idea that you're going to get something out of it, because whether we like it or not, we all want something when we go adventuring.
Yes, and if you remember,
if it's a pat on the back.
Absolutely. Well, no.
Okay, I want money.
If it's just a pat on the back, it won't
and
go.
Loot.
It was the first 2nd edition adventure or campaign I ran for you, Vicky, and if you remember, it started with the ruins of Flan. And it was the promise of, if you help to claim back these ruins that sit on the north of the Moonsea, I believe,
Yeah.
You will be given land. You will be given a place you can call your own. And it's that kind of base of operations. And
I love those.
because of the way the adventure starts, it's basically a boat with some adventurers arriving. The council were kind of like, okay, you've all come across on this boat, so you're all being put under the same charter, and here's the missions. And I had about 3 things lined up for you that you could do straight away, and then you got to pick. But you knew what was driving this is, if we reclaim this, if we drive all the orcs and goblins out of here, if we reclaim the town and stop the poison flowing down the river, we're going to be given land. We're going to be given place we can build and call our own. And I think that was good. On top of which, you also had your adventuring rights. So any wealth and magic items you found, unless they were already declared as being belonging to someone else, was yours. And that was great.
Yes. So just to say, so Jeffrem, one thing about Adventure Hook should offer something for all players. Yeah,
absolutely. It has to offer something for all players. And as I said, you can have the very crafted adventure hooks going into backgrounds and really tying it all together, but that takes a lot of time and effort. Or you have your kind of simpler, and if you've got more experienced players, often the simpler ones can kind of work without needing to go into complex backgrounds. Or you do a mix, some simple but with a bit of background. It all depends who your players are, what you're playing with, and if it's a long-term campaign or something quick and short.
And I do like what Loewe says. You're supposed to wade into the deep end of adventuring, but sometimes it is okay to run away.
I'm a second ed player, and it is always okay to run away.
Yep, totally.
Yes.
Cyrus, hello, Cyrus.
Hiya, Cyrus. It's good to have you here.
Yes, it offers a TPK. Yes, totally agree.
It does. And it's a mistake that a young GM who watches other people playing, more professional people, shall we say, some critical people who are rolling dice.
Attempting to roll dice, but they don't always do that because sometimes, you don't need to.
And where they make things bigger and louder and more boisterous because they're there to entertain the people watching, they try and emulate that around the table. And often it falls flat because around the table, it's more personal. You're not there to entertain. You're there to simulate a world and to bring your players in and make them part of that world.
But I think then, and that's one Destiny's Dispatch what we might actually cover is the difference between performance at the table and actually playing and role playing at the table. I think my opinion, I could be completely wrong, there's a massive difference between performative play and actually role playing, because I don't sit in the meeting at work and go when they announce something. Well, generally not
no, but all the Americans in the meeting are going
no, they're not.
No, they're all going like this.
We're in a meeting. You know what I'm trying to say though is there is that performative edge that you get with a lot of these live shows that make people think that the whole of role playing is performative, and I don't think you have to be performative at the table. No. And I think sometimes that's what leads people to want, or young GMs. And I have to admit that the best bit of advice you gave me when I was starting to GM was just keep it simple.
Yes. Yes. That face there. But yes, there we go.
I do think that everybody should be able to run away, but
yeah,
I think that sort of covers our sort of beginning bit about adventure hooks. But then it's how you take those adventure hooks. It's how we take those ideas that we've got. We might have this bad guy or something that we've got as a premise, and how we actually turn that into adventure modules. And I'm going to say it's harder than it looks. Because one of the first things, because I hadn't ever run a book adventure, right? Hands up, I've never run a book adventure. The only adventures I've ever run have been ones that I've created by myself. So when we were doing the adventure for Beneath the Dragon Gaze, it was very, I found it quite a challenge when I was reading through everything. So I'm like going, is there enough detail? Isn't there enough detail? And that was because of my lack of exposure, if you like, to actually running modules that have come before. But luckily, someone has run lots and lots of modules before. And yes, I absolutely agree with you, Merlin's. It is catering to an audience. When you're round a table, you haven't necessarily got that audience. And yeah, I mean, we do actual plays sometimes and things like that. And because none of us are actors and stuff like that, it must be, you only got to hear me droning on for ages about, you know, what shopping I want to do or whether or not we should go left or right. But yes, when you're engaged in a scenario and you're focused and you're immersed in your world, it's a lot more meaningful, but it might not be as meaningful to people watching you. So completely get that.
Yeah, it's a very different thing when you have a bunch of players around the table and they're getting into the headspace of their characters, and it's that magical moment when you and your character become one, and everybody around the table is talking and acting like their characters, and you have those moments of role play or those moments of combat where you feel the threat, you feel like you're being challenged and you're having to work together. Those are great moments, and they're not performative moments. And anybody watching will probably just be going, what the hell's going on? You know, because you're not performing at that point. You're talking to each other as your characters would talk. You're acting as your characters would act, but not in a performative way. And that's why a lot of the only successful sort of active plays you get, live plays, are going to be the ones that are very performative, very polished, and are easy to watch and follow along with.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what Lois has just said.
Yeah.
Writing adventures for yourself is really easy. You can keep, you know, short notes, you can have stuff like this. Writing adventures for others is a lot harder. So you've actually got some of your favorite adventures modules. I thought I was pressing the buttons.
Oh, I didn't mean to add it. Hang on. There we go. Let's take that off. I was just getting it prepped. I should have prepped it beforehand so we didn't get that. Carry on.
No, did you see that? I was supposed to be pressing buttons and instead Dean wants to press, but no, you can press buttons.
Okay. So
You've
we're talking
volunteered
about
now.
I have volunteered.
Yes.
I have. So
now we can't find the buttons to press.
There we go. Where do we want to be? Do you want to be on the side? Underneath?
No, you see me. Hello.
What about over here?
Hello. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Okay, so Ruins of Adventure was one of the first modules that I absolutely fell in love with. It was a computer game as well, The Pools of Radiance, and the computer game was based on this module. And this module I ran twice. The first time with a group long before I met Vicky. The second time, a reimagining of it for Vicky and the new people I had at the time. And you can see the maps are quite crude, but it has a certain charm about it. This whole place that has been, taken over by goblins, and you're needing to try and reclaim it. But you then begin to look at how the adventure's laid out. And this is what we're talking about. And
this was Flan, wasn't it?
This is Flan, yes.
Yay!
Oh, the pennies finally dropped. And it's what Loewe said, which is, if you're doing an adventure for yourself, you can use a lot of shorthand code and stuff like that. It might require a bit of time, but it's fairly easy. And we'll go through some of the tools you can use, some of the tricks you've got to doing that. When you're writing an adventure for someone else to run, a module, that's where it begins to get very, very tricky. And back in the day, if you have a look, there's text upon text upon text. It's just, I'll show you the next one. You look at this. This was the pyramid with a maze in there, and you've just got these columns and columns of text, and it becomes quite difficult to run it because it's not easy to locate stuff. It's not easy to understand what's happening. And if you have a look in that one line of text, you got this: each turn there's a 1 in 6 chance of something attacking the character, and it's hidden within a bunch of flavor. And it's finding the ways of lifting that out, especially if someone else is going to be running it, so that it is very evident and very clear what those rules are. And then Undermountain was another classic of ours. This is the Lost Levels,
I'm starting to twitch.
and one of their lovely maps. I love these
There's no
maps.
levers anywhere, is there?
No, not on the Lost Levels. But again, lots of text. And a lot of stuff. You can see the final gate that leads to room number 1, entry gate is left for the DM to create, which is important. And you've just got these walls and walls and walls of text that makes understanding the adventures back in the day really difficult and quite time consuming. And the one benefit it actually had is you could play the same module run by 2 different DMs and actually have 2 fairly different experiences,
Yeah.
because one might read it and do it to the letter, and the other one might skim and then decide, this is what I'm going to do, and kind of follow it. And it can be pretty good. Yeah. Merlin, you're right. Some of those modules are just walls of text, and it's so hard to see the detail.
Yeah. And when we were actually pulling together Beneath the Dragon's Gaze, we've actually taken those experiences we've had and we've tried to make it so that you've got background up front and then what you need in order to run the actual module without overwhelming you, but at the same time giving the GM enough room to make it your own. I think that's fair enough to say, isn't it, Dean?
It absolutely is, and it's allowing the GM to make it your own. And this is a great example here. It's a shame. In fact, if I zoom in,
It's that zoomy button. See, if
You've-
I'd been pressing buttons, he could have just told me to zoom in, but no.
I could have, but that's fine. So you got things like this where it has this sort of orange,
pink
box of how you're supposed to describe the room, and then a description of what's in the room for you. So both the crawling claws and the rust monster will rush to attack the party, etc., and so forth. Even though crawling claws are undead, rust monsters are living creatures, and strictly speaking, undead hate the living. So how the two are cooperating with each other, I'm not 100% sure of.
But just want to say hello to Graph Paper Architect, who's dropped Graph in. I'm not going to interrupt you mid-flow. Well, actually, I am. Bacon pink. Yes, you're quite right.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely
bacon
spot
pink.
On. Yes.
And I'm surprised they didn't have a goat in here as well, Graph Paper. I really am, considering, as Dean just said, why any of these creatures would actually hang around together. I don't know.
Yes. And of course, you've got, make a note, the largest of the claws wears a ring of shocking grass. Rings are typically metal. Rust monsters love metal. So why would that ring still be there? It's small little things like this where the adventures of old, they were very prescriptive. They kind of said, describe the room like this, and this is kind of how you run the room. And it was done for a reason. This was brand new territory. A lot of people coming into the hobby had never done stuff like this before. But we've taken the view that when writing a module, give enough information so that the rooms can be run, but give enough freedom that they can be run in the style that is the GM is comfortable with. So the GM understands what's in the room, how things can be interacted with, but then leave the descriptions and how they actually manage the party within that room to themselves.
I'd also like to say that the way that it's been written actually makes sense. You don't have rust monsters in with things that are metal, and you don't have creatures and things in there that wouldn't make sense together, and the dungeons and any of the adventures you run, you tend to make them make sense. Because I think that that's one of the things, well, for me as a player at least, will break the fourth wall, is if something just doesn't seem to make sense. And I think that's one of the things we've tried to make sure with our adventure, is that there is rhyme and reason why anything is where it is or does what it does. Without giving anything away, there are some really cool things in our adventure that are just, because I played it first. So Dean created the adventure and I got to play, and there are some really cool things in it that I was just really chuffed with and I really enjoyed and was quite thoughtful. But every single thing, whether it was a bit weird or a bit cool, actually made sense in the essence of what that place was, why it was pulled together, and you learn about it as you go along. So that's what I really liked about it. You do have a tendency to to make it logical. So for a player, and therefore the character that they're playing, there's a rhyme and reason to everything.
Yeah.
I'll stop being nice to you now.
Oh,
been
thank
nice.
you.
I
Thank you.
think I've been nice to him enough today, haven't I, guys? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when
Time to
turning
moan at
an
you.
idea into an adventure, having it grounded, having it make sense is one of the most important things you need to do. So, for example, if the party are going into a dungeon that has remained kind of isolated, you've got to think what's in that dungeon. You know, if they
Why
just
was it there?
yeah, why was it there? What's inhabiting it? What are the challenges within the dungeon? If there are traps, why are the traps where they are? Do they make sense where they are? And if there are creatures in there, do the creatures make sense for being in there? And I can say you can take all that and throw it out the window if you're playing an adventure which is more your town dungeon, drop into the dungeon, and see what randomizes, what the dungeon randomizes, and then create kind of the story around it. And that style of play, absolutely fine. But if you're writing a module, if you want things to make sense, then you have to give a lot of thought as to what's in the dungeon and does it make sense for being where it is. So, for example, there are a lot of creatures that do not need to eat, or they can hibernate or go into a kind of slumber for long, long periods of time. And thus, they could be awoken and be incredibly hungry, but could still be there trapped in this dungeon over tens, decades of time. So your classic creatures are things like undead, which typically don't age, oozes, puddings, slimes, stuff like that, typically can go dormant. Other creatures, mythological creatures, can go dormant. But at the same time, if you got traps and stuff like that, not having traps, a trap in a heavily sort of traversed area where you would have had bedrooms and stuff like that doesn't make sense, because why would there be a trap there? But a trap
talking about that, I'm actually going to interrupt you with a Louise comment, which is continuity and context. I think where you're talking about traps, that's actually key, a key for even simple adventures. And I think you're absolutely right, Jeffrem. And I also like the fact that you say that one of the things you like about the classic dungeons is that they have clear design goals. And I do think that's really important. And what Dean was saying about, why would you have traps in a heavily traversed area? Yeah, you wouldn't. Unless, of course, they were fleeing and setting traps behind them. There may be reasons.
Exactly.
So if you can actually, again, that's the continuity and context.
Yes.
We're making graphic
puddings.
Yep. Well, if you want to see one of our oozes, in fact, Lewis has just done on X. He's actually just shown one of the what do you call them, where they actually film it.
It's like a stop motion, him actually drawing it.
Yeah, so a video of him actually drawing one of the pieces he did for us, which was an ooze, which is actually for the adventure. So that's out on X at the moment, but I've got a few snippets. I'm going to talk about NPCs in a minute. I've got a few little things I would like to share with you. Some brand new artwork that is going to be shown in the next half hour or so. So I'm really looking forward to that. But make sure you get a snack. We can't have you wasting away on us, Graph Paper. No.
Against Giants, fantastic series. And again, it was a lot of it was about you bringing that module alive. It had some great stuff in there. The Ruins of Adventure, the Flan one, it had everything I needed in there. A lot of words, so you had to sometimes get through those words to get to the nuggets and make your notes. But then it had everything else you needed to run with the adventure and move it forward. Undermountain was your typical dungeon, so there was a bit of logic that was thrown out in return. The excuse magic, because magic, stuff like that. However, there are large areas of Undermountain where, for example, you were told goblins inhabited this areas and they would barricade these places and they would set traps here and they would do this and they would do that. But it wasn't detailed. It was giving you a rhyme reason for this area and then leaves you to decide when the party arrives, what are the goblins doing? Where are they? Are they in a position to rebuff? if you randomized a creature at the same time, they could be fighting that creature and holding off, and you've now come in behind that creature like a. I mean, one of the random results was things like beholders. So can you imagine that? You got this beholder in this corridor blasting away at this barricade, trying to destroy goblins. The goblin's busy firing at the beholder, and you lot are just behind the beholder with its back eye stalks beginning to spot you. And now all of a sudden, what a predicament you're in. You know, so the old adventures, the modules, it took a lot more work, but you could really create some fantastic stuff with them. Right, shall we move on to, because this is one of our maps.
Yes.
Yes, so this is
No,
Port
then we
Orion.
we can then start talking about some of the NPCs, and I can do a bit of a show off
We
of some of the
can.
artwork.
And yeah, so just the most important places noted, Founders Landing, stuff like this. And then within our adventure, all of this is pre-edit, by the way, so subject to change. But things like your adventuring hooks. So even in this, we've got what's the adventuring hooks, and there's a load. This is just like you know, a kind of outline and some of the obvious wealth, fame, and then we've got a few more listed.
Yeah, I think, and it does come together really well, doesn't it? So we've actually got, you know, some informations. We give you objectives, stuff like that, but we don't give you the NPC says this. We want
No.
the GM to be able to do it the way that they want to. And yeah, this is where we've got some tarting to do on this.
Yeah, this is
we've-
just rough at the moment.
Yeah, this is our rough. But we've got a flow, and you've got sort of areas where you can peel off the flow and do some addition and come back to like the main storyline. We're trying to find a good way of showing it visually, and this is what we've got at the minute. We've got a few other bits and pieces to add.
So
but
one
this
of
will
the
give you an
problems you have with some of
understanding.
the old styled adventures is there's a lot of text, because sometimes you have to try and convey how the adventure can flow, what can happen, and the choices that can be made. And what I've decided to do is kind of have this outline flow. So when you're looking at running the module, you start at the top, arrival. And if I go back, you can then see on here, arrival, objective, to introduce the party to Port Orion and show the contrast between the writ they received, which is this, you know, showing a very polished town that's ready with wealth and opportunity, and the actual state of the town. And then it talks you through it, where the adventurers are, how to potentially run the thing, what stuff they can kind of do, what's the kind of feeling you want them to feel, and where do you go from there. And then you've got the Adventurers Guild. So if they decide to go up to the Adventurers Guild and introduce themselves to a Burva Lancer, who they've been told to report to, how that can play out. And this is one of the things, I mean, talk about our, in fact, if I zoom in again on that, talk about our techie backgrounds coming in here. As a software engineer, workflows and program flows and stuff. For me, and I don't know.
I do processes, so between the two of us, it's like really sad.
For me, if I had an adventure module and it was presented like this, so there were clear scenes and how scenes interacted with other scenes and the potential loops. So, for example, I mean, this is giving it maybe a little bit away, but there's a potential of gaining a ship at the end of this introductory adventure, and it will have a scene there. So, if the party decide that they would like to claim the ship, what does that entail? Because the ship's broken. I mean, it's a beautiful ship, but it needs repairs, it needs this, it needs that. And how is that managed? What NPCs are involved? If the party decide that they're going to walk away from the eye, how does that play out? You know, because it doesn't stop the adventure. And then the big adventure will, at this point, things begin to tick off in the island. So you'll have two tracks. One is a wealth track. Are you doing enough to keep the wealth of the island maintained, so the mainland are happy and will keep sending supplies and keep sending people and keep, you know, investing in the island, and you got this threat that has awakened on the island at the same time, and that threat begins to grow. And again, these are just little scenes you have down the two sides that pop in at the appropriate triggers. So when you're planning a session, you know roughly where the party are, what their opportunities are they busy doing a mission? Is a lumber mill under attack? Are they investigating a mine? Are they going up into the hills to investigate something? What are they doing? And at the same time, the threats now reach this, and this scene has now come into play, and this could affect the party as well. So you get this kind of dynamic adventure without having lots and lots of words, because all you
Yeah.
know is this has now activated, a threat has happened, go to the scene, wyverns attack the town. So if the party are miles away out in the wilderness, the wyverns go in, they do a load of damage to the town. The wealth of the town could start to drop because they're now doing damage, and the party weren't there to try and drive them off. So you create this living, breathing island where things are happening without having to make it incredibly wordy and convoluted. So we're working through this, and I think I would love to know what your views are, but I think this is a great way of explaining a complicated sandboxy kind of adventure, but in a lovely way where you can actually see the decisions the party have made, the decisions the party still can make, and other stuff that can happen around them.
You were in the wrong
Oh,
channel.
no.
No, Eric, no.
Coffee has failed you. It has.
You know what
Oh.
that means, don't you? More coffee.
We're going to have to
mate,
start again.
More coffee.
Oh, no, more coffee. More coffee.
But yeah, it would be good to know whether or not you like these. Obviously, we've got to do some things like show where it comes back to the main sort of story flow. But the other thing I think that's really important is it shows that your players are going to have choices and they can choose to do things that they want to do. Oh, you missed a lot. You missed Dean talking and me yabbering, and Dean talking some more, and pictures. About to do some more pictures.
We are.
But yeah, when you look at it, it's a demonstration of what can actually be done, and we're trying not to overload everybody. So, oh look, you've got some coffee now. Thank you, Merlins. I think that's really sweet of you.
That is. And one of the other things that we're looking to do with this is split the kind of story part of the adventure with the reference part of the adventure. Because when I was running the playtest, I was constantly flipping back and forth. Oh, hang on, it's this creature, got to flick over here. Oh, hang on, they're over here, there. Oh, hang on, it's this item. Where's the item? It's at the back of the book. And it was during I had an opportunity to interview GUI Cube, and they were doing this sort of homage to Gary Gygax. Luke Gygax was there, and we were having a chat, and they talked about how they split the two things apart. So your adventure story was kind of on one side, so that would be your dungeon layouts, your maps, and stuff like that. But then all the reference material was in the other. So it would have in this room you encounter a skeleton, and the skeleton stats are in your other book. So you had the two books side by side, and they said they spiral bind them so that they could be quickly put together, and you could reference. So that way you could keep the flow going and have your reference separate and not have to flick back and forth in the same book. And so far I did that. We continued the play test, and it worked incredibly well from my side of the table. At least it was so easy just to reference the two side by side.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing. We're going to try and use things that work, and we're going to try and make sure that, and this leads on to what we're going to do next week, which is we're going to talk all about GM fatigue next week. Even though I've forgotten to put the thumbnail up, but you never know. We can get there, but we are going to talk about ways that we have decided to address GM fatigue, some of the reasons why we're going ahead with pushing that, why it's important to us. So that's going to be next week. But before we go on with a bit more stuff about this, I'm going to ask you all, if you haven't liked the stream, please do so. It really means a lot to us, doesn't it, Dean?
Yes, it does.
And you were about to cough then, weren't you? Yes. See, torture. Both of us are still coughing and spluttering a bit, so it's quite interesting. So if you could like the stream, that would be great. If you could share, it would just mean the world to us. But we've got more things we want to share with you tonight, don't we, Dean?
Go on, you show. We got a few more things, but I think you want to show some of the new artwork we've got.
Well, can I go first?
You can go first. Go on.
I can go first. Can I talk about NPCs?
Yes, you can. It feeds nicely then into what I'm doing.
after I have a coughing fit, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
So what I'm going to do now is just talk about the other thing that brings that lovely world of Port Orion to life, some of the NPCs you've got. And we've actually got quite detailed descriptions of the NPCs. What we don't do is we don't give you sort of scripts on how they speak or stuff like that. We give you a sort of view of what the NPCs are, what they sort of look like,
What their
You then-
motives are.
what their motives are, most important. And then off the back of that, you can play them as you want, Mr. GM. You make them come to life. But if you want a little bit of help, we have a little bit of artwork to help you along. Well, we would do if I could find the button. There's the button. Woohoo!
No, wrong button.
Wrong button. Oh, wow. That's
Hang
your
on.
button.
There we go. Yay!
button.
By our powers combined, competence.
There's a reason there needs to be two of us.
Yes.
And you can see here that we've actually got portraits. So this is raw. We haven't even put this into the book yet. This is where we've got some portraits that Lewis has done for us, and you can see the different sort of characters that we've actually got within the town, and we've got all of the relationships built out, so you know who knows who, by who, and all the rest of it. And that at least gives you that sort of vibrancy and that alive. And guess what? We've given all the NPCs names. So you, Mr. GM, don't have to think about it, because we do Wonder Twin powers activate. Absolutely. Because we also understand what it's like when everybody asks you, well, what's that NPC's name? Well, who's he over there? And so we've given you your raft of names, so you don't have to worry about it. And I'm going to just highlight one at the bottom. I'm not going to go through each one, but this one over here, this is Desi, isn't it, Dean?
That's Desi, the stable hand.
That is Desi, the stable hand. And one of the other pieces, I've got 3 pieces I'm going to share with you tonight, is actually, I love this piece. And this was actually inspired by our run through, because funny enough, when we were playing, we actually had horses, didn't we, Dean?
You did have horses.
We did. So yes, hit that like button, everyone. Hit it. Smash it.
Kenneth, I hope you're feeling a little bit better. If it's anything like us, she's still probably feeling rough and recovering.
I would say that that poor Kenneth is probably right mid-flow at the moment. It's taken us a couple of weeks.
Oh god, this has been not good. Anyway, were you moving on to another?
Shh, I'm trying to hide my incompetence right now with the buttons. Okay.
No, it's okay. Just
shush.
Left and right keys. There we go.
No, I can't, because I didn't open them the way you
do.
Really? Shh. Oh. You're gonna hug him and squeeze him and love him and call him George.
Yes.
NPC George. So this was actually a piece inspired by some of the stuff that actually happened right at the very beginning of the game. And this is where we actually took one of our horses into the stables to be looked after by Desi. And, Desi actually brushed down the horse and made sure that the horse was okay. And then the other piece of artwork, I need you to all get ready for this, because it is a tad traumatic. You know the one I'm going to say.
I do. Go on.
Got to press the buttons again.
You got to press the buttons, yes.
Yes. There's buttons.
Stand by button pressing.
So this is what happened. It's very sad.
We're still waiting.
I know. That's because I haven't pressed that replace button yet.
God, do you know what? You should do what I do. It's so much simpler.
Yes, there we go. But then my button, you can't do it. So this piece, I absolutely love. Absolutely adore this piece. I think Lewis has absolutely outdone himself. There was our party. There's the horse. And that's
beautiful. Griffin carrying off a horse. as it goes, and I love that. I mean, griffins. I love griffins, but I've tried to go back to the more mythological griffin, and rather than the one you've got within like D&D. And the mythological griffin, the one based in legend, is truly a horrific creature. And you can see just how small the horse is within its claw. And it's got its big sort of lion paws at the back, but talons at the front. This mane around its eagle head, and these huge wings coming off the lion body. So it is a real, a hellish mismatch of an eagle and a lion made into huge proportions that just dominates the skyline when it's flying overhead. These creatures, lightning crackles across them, and they are truly fearsome.
Yes, and that's what happened to our horse.
Yeah, it got carried off. Goodbye.
After all of that, that's what happened. Yes. And that is an amazing adventure hook, because not only did the griffin take our horse when we were on the way to somewhere else, took all of our stuff that was on the horse. So one of the options we had was tracking the griffin back to its lair, where we could have potentially taken it on. But I have to admit, it's completely trounced us at that stage.
It had.
But
Yeah.
we did take it on at a later stage, and we did defeat it, and we ate him, because the meat of griffin does good stuff.
Oh, it's an exotic meat, and it's incredible when you cook it. Gives you so much fortitude for the following day.
So I hope you like that artwork. That gives you this gives you an example of what you're going to get in the basic edition book, and also in our adventure. So we have some amazing artists, and Dean and I have seen the cover for our basic edition tonight, haven't we? And we're very excited.
Oh,
It's
I am.
coming.
I am. It's got a little bit more refinement to go through, but it's looking good.
Perfect. It's so good. And I was very excited. So that gives you an example of what we're actually bringing here. But this is a prime example of what we're talking about with adventures. So there you go. I thought you'd like that. You can talk about your stuff now, Dean.
Yes. So we're talking adventures and running adventures. And this is more for the way that I run an adventure around the table. So this isn't creating a module or doing anything, but you've got an adventure. You're kind of running it. And the way I would approach is I sometimes have an arc. I have this. I think there's this happening in the area, and this is going to happen. And I kind of play it out mentally, make a couple of notes. If the party does nothing, the following is going to happen. And then I might have the first part, the part that the party is potentially involved in. And then I'll make that into a detailed session. So, I've got all the stuff I need to recall, creature stats, anything I need to randomize beforehand has been done. And then we run the session. And I always try and end a session, not every session, obviously, but I try and end a session where there's a decision to be made. So the party can then turn around and go, we're at this point, we've done this, we now need to decide what happens next. And it's not me saying, well, you got to do this because I've only prepared this. It's me saying, what are you doing? And then they decide. I then got everything I need to go, okay, so the party are now reacting like this and doing this. How does this affect my arc? And what do I need to prepare for the next session? And then I prepare the next session. And this is a great way of creating, a rough sort of campaign arc with a very party-driven approach, where you can simulate the world and what's happening around, as well as then giving the party and yourself an opportunity, the party to make decisions, and yourself the opportunity to prepare for the next session, so that they can see the results of those decisions. And I think with the last 5e campaign I ran, the Savage Frontier, that worked incredibly well, didn't it?
It did work very well. And you've taken that sort of approach that you do to the story arcs. That's what you're trying to illustrate with your flows, is to give the GM an idea when we write our adventures of what they could actually do and how they can approach it with the players. And I think one of our pieces of advice is always, between sessions, leave it on a decision, give them a decision. And I think that works really well.
I mean, it won't always match like that. You'll have some sessions,
Yeah,
some
you'll have
where
some
you
where
might
you'll
have
be
3 or 4 sessions before a decision point comes up. But where you have that decision point, try and
use it.
end it on the session. I also have what I call the player's handout, and this isn't designed to be read in any detail. It's just designed to give you a kind of indication of.
Oh, is this what we used in the Savage Frontier?
Yeah. So what I've got
This
here
is
is
cool.
you got these sort of updated quests. So as the party were doing stuff, I would update a kind of log on what was happening, where they were, any potential leads. And then as they finished it, it went across into the finished section. So you can see these are all the quests the party have done. They found a dwarven weapon, Fiend Slayer, Carl Naro. They found a bone key. I don't think you'd worked out what the bone key was for at that point.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We
On
did.
a hunch.
On a hunch, we did. Yeah.
Yes, hang on, I've got it here. On a hunch, the party investigated and instigated an investigation into the crypt and found, with the aid of the dwarven churches, that great evil is on its way. There is time, but not much. Refer to the quest entry Archlich Al-Zaradi for further details. So
yeah, you love coming up with names that you can't actually say.
That Archlich is a real Archlich in the Forgotten Realms. I didn't make it up.
He still likes the names he can't pronounce.
I do. But you've got all of these sort of updates you can do, and then you can and then the players have something they can read in between sessions, something that they can troll through if they're looking for those rumors that you've happened to have just dropped here and there. And if I just come back, you can see I've done this sort of cut here where you've got it just keeps going. And the last quest there, the big one, that's the main quest that they were on. So it's just page after page of updates. But
that's something that you always prepped for us as so it would grow over time. Mainly because sometimes our note taking wasn't as good as it should be. I always used to like taking notes, but then I used to spend so long taking notes. So it was a nice balance. We always knew we could have this, so I could just take sort of really quick notes. But yeah, we used to get all the maps and everything in this, and we could just keep an eye on it all. It was great.
Oh, it was fantastic. And then I had, so I would take a screenshot of the part of the map, Forgotten Realms map, because we did this in the Forgotten Realms. So they were up in the Silver Marches, the Savage Frontier, and I would then customize that map. You only get so many things on the Forgotten Realms map, and I would then fill in the gaps in between to create. I'd find out what Ascor was about, Holland-Garth, Citadel Abdar, obviously Citadel of Helbar. I would understand what was happening in the region, but then I created the town of Ben Farenbar, which is this trading settlement between Sunderbar, Citadel of Helbar, and Adbar. And then they eventually, it's not Ascor, you came to a different, in fact, it's on there. This is it. Number 6, Vizard, which was an old city. You had a whole quest there, and you managed to claim back the city, and then the dwarves moved in, and the dwarves had been slowly repairing it. That's where you came across the desert crawler, this big mechanical scarab. And during the times where you couldn't teleport and you had to cross Anarach, one of the players was actually fixing it up and got it fixed just in time for them to use that to get across Anarach. And it was fantastic.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
And all of this is really good. But what I want to highlight, because it's me and I want to highlight our current stuff that we're doing, is that all of this experience is what we're ploughing into the adventure and making sure that things are brought to life for people as they're playing, and things are brought to life for the GM and the stuff that they can utilize. So that this is all sort of background for how we're approaching things, isn't it, Dean?
It is. And this is fantastic. We talked about NPCs. I had my NPC roster, and I did have images of the NPCs. I'd look online, I'd just go, oh, give me a picture of a fantasy dwarf, D&D dwarf, or something like that. Find something appropriate and put it there. But when I needed to sanitize the document, because I was going to start to use it for other stuff that would be a bit more public, and I didn't want to use someone's image without their permission. So I stripped out all of the images. But this was a great way, because there's nothing worse than you're trying to keep track of all your NPCs. And if you got a player's handout, bang, you got your NPC track right there in front of you. And so do the players. And do you know what? The amount of times it just sped the game up because you didn't have people going, oh, hang on, who was it? Oh, and then you're flicking through your notes because you wrote it on a page somewhere, or you've got it in one of your main gaming notes, but the session was, several months ago, so you're having to crawl back through. It's all there in the player's handout, all nicely written up with any bits of information that the party may understand, and then anything else that unfolds. You've then got your super secret version, which might contain some of the motives between NPCs and some of the other stuff that's going on.
What, you mean you didn't tell your players everything, Dean?
No, I did not tell my players everything.
So you didn't tell your players that lovely whizzy thing around the head that embedded itself in someone else's head was actually spying on us the whole time?
What, you mean from the Duke Kashyyyk Bilwin? No,
Yes.
not the Duke. Hang on,
No, it wasn't from the
it
Duke.
wasn't him. I thought that was
from, no,
it was the Rakshasa.
it was the
devil.
Rakshasa. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The Duke Kashyyyk was quite good actually, because a very flamboyant gnome who used to hold a yearly festival midwinter. And it was the talk of Ben Tharambar. And the party, when they began to become quite famous, were invited to it. And that was a whole session just on its own, which was all about how, the party was a mix of, you were nobility, were you not, Vicky? And we had a barbarian who just didn't know etiquette at all. And they were now being brought into a party that was for all of the top level people in Ben Tharambar. And that was a great session. You're muted.
It was really good fun.
It was.
It was a good laugh. But this is just an example of how we've brought things together in the past. But yeah, for what we're doing now in the way of our adventure, it is structured, but it's not overly structured. So it will give you a really nice view of where we're going and what rewards are there and how to actually run the game. Isn't that right, Dean?
That is right. And it's all of these sort of tidbits, and it is all part of reducing GM fatigue, which we'll cover next week. But all of this is going to be within the GM's advice section as well. And we're then incorporating within our adventure modules to try and make sure the module is easy to understand, easy to digest, even little sections, and then very easy to run without getting lost too much in the detail, and also being open enough for you just to make the adventure your own. So the NPCs become your NPCs. They become the way that you want them. They should become alive in your head. You got their motives. Now you can give them the silly voices you want.
Michael. Anyway,
Yes.
when I look at this, I just wanted to remind everybody that the free adventure is basically the first part of a full adventure module. Now, due to the fact that some people have been lurgified, I think that was
that was
yeah, we've been terribly lurgified. We made a decision when we first started to having to cancel Destiny's Dispatch, because we've basically been floored over the last few weeks. So we have made a decision that instead of doing a massive sort of push just on the adventure, when we're also trying to gear up for the launch of the Kickstarter, what we're going to do is we're going to actually give away the adventure as part and parcel of the Kickstarter. So basically, we just give it away. So you'll be able to get it off there. It just means that we can tie everything together. It does relieve some of the pressure on us. It's been a little bit too much recently, hasn't it, darling?
Just a bit too much. Yeah.
Yeah, we've both been, I would say, under the weather is an understatement. I think it's life kicking our butt, telling us we've got to take it a little bit slower.
Yes.
But a couple of the things we're doing to ease the pressure on ourselves is we're actually moving some of our indie game spotlights. We're moving them from having to record them, so then we have to edit them, to actually being live streams. It removes the effort that Dean has to spend on editing them and getting them ready. And they've been working quite well, haven't they?
Oh, we did one yesterday. It was Altair, I believe, was
Yes, and his
Dubious Origins.
compatriots.
Is that the name of
Yes,
the
yeah,
company? Yeah, and that was fantastic. If you haven't caught it, have a good look at it. There.
it's great.
Oh, what was the name of their system?
You don't remember?
Oh, it was yesterday, and I got my notes behind me.
It was yesterday, darling.
I
It was
know.
yesterday, and you've just put me on the spot.
All I know
Yesterday.
is it was a great D20 system, except for skills, which went off a skill dice based on the your attributes and the way they
Why
did
has
their
my brain
fortunes,
gone dead?
misfortunes. Oh,
This is
2
your
seconds.
fault. No, I got it here because it's really annoying me now.
There you go. I got it here.
No, because I loved it.
I didn't write down the name of it.
No, but I did. I have because.
Anyway.
Oh, you.
Yes, do it live. Yes, Kenneth, do it live. Do you know what? We started pre-recording because we ourselves were nervous about doing a live stream, and now it's become a lot easier to do. Sovereign rule. Thank
Sovereign
you.
rule. Thank you.
And
I
do you know what?
absolutely love that, Michael.
Yes, Michael.
Sign us up for the.
Let us know when you're doing the one shot or the play test, and yeah, if we're free, we'd love to pop along.
I can't
because
believe we just
I'm quite
couldn't remember the name.
taken with what they've done, and
Yes.
it sounds interesting. And they're a great bunch of guys, really good. It was lovely talking to them.
Yeah, it was. I absolutely loved the sound of it. I want to play. What I loved is that they highlighted a lot of the challenges that we went about trying to solve with our system. And it's lovely to see someone coming at the answer to that from a different direction. I loved their idea of how they put together their world. It was fantastic. I really found it exciting. So I do want to play. So Michael, they said that you're looking for people. So 1st September, right, we'll have to check our diaries, but we will confirm because I want to play. You're looking at the diary, aren't you?
Is that Saturday the 5th? In which case, I shall make a note.
There we go. It's going into the diary of doom. It's going into the diary of doom. But yes, we really enjoyed that. And we get to see so many fantastic systems as part of Indie Game Spotlight. You know something, we are in a fantastic hobby space. There is just so much interesting stuff out there. And it's absolutely superb. So yes, Sovereign Rule was really exciting. We are going to do a filmed one this Sunday, but we're starting to peter out all of our pre-filmed ones. And we're going to just be moving to live probably on a Monday. We're going to do another live one on Thursday.
You mean 2 days' time?
We are.
Ah, lovely.
What do you mean Vicky's running it, or we're stuck with Jeremy?
I think we might have to be stuck with Jeremy. I just hope he doesn't try and get revenge.
Oh yeah, didn't you kill him?
I didn't do anything of the sort. He ran into a room and got obliterated by an orc shaman. It was nothing to do with me. I was barely there.
You were barely there. You know something? Like, the one thing that I know about playing with Dean is when you do something stupid, he takes advantage of it. It's really upsetting. The number of times I do something stupid and he takes advantage of it is unbelievable.
Indeed.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right. It will be fun. I am really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to us putting in the diary because I think Paddy wants to create characters with Untold Destiny and do another one shot. So we're looking forward to getting that in the diary.
And there's something else I'm looking forward to getting into the diary, Dean.
Go on. What's that?
Well, I'm really looking forward to basically having somebody take over our channel and actually do an Indie Game Spotlight with us. So a table turn, if you like. Now, I do believe, Michael, that I have a willing volunteer. So we're going to have to get that into the diary as well.
Oh, how the turns have tabled.
How the turns have tabled. I think on that note, on the fact that neither Dean or I are formulating sentences that make sense, He hasn't figured out that he said that completely backwards.
No, I did it
yet.
on purpose. I did it on purpose.
Didn't.
It's a classic phrase, how the turns have tabled. Yes. I think Vicky is slowly dying over
slowly
there.
dying. I need
And
some medicine.
just to let you know, we have freed up some weekends. We're going through the final planning. Invites will be going out for one shots, and we will then have an open one shot, first come, first serve. So we will get
so
that definitely.
Jeffrem has just said that he wants to play more, and I'm so pleased about that. I have to say that sometimes it's hard, isn't it, Dean? We know we've got a massive hill to climb to get this system out there and to get it popular. But with your help, I know we can get there. You know, even if sometimes Dean and I are like, we're so old and tired. But we're doing fine, aren't we?
We'll get there.
We're doing fine.
We have so much energy, and it's just where we put that energy. It's half past 12. Yeah.
So we are going to be wrapping up for tonight. And can I just thank you all so much?
Thank you.
Guys have really, really, we just need to, we'll get it in the calendar, we promise. Can I just say that you guys make this so worthwhile, don't they, Dean?
They do. They do.
You know, the fact is that we get to witter on, and you guys are just so supportive. I couldn't thank you more. But with that, I'm actually going to suggest that we go to bed. I need some more medicine, I think, by the sounds of my throat.
I think you do.
I do. More medicine. I think I like that medicine a bit too much. Polgara used to say that medicine shouldn't taste nice because you like it. But I like the taste of Benylin, so that doesn't quite work.
No, it does not. You are addicted. Oh, thank you, Eric. Really appreciate that. It's yes, thank you so much. But
Kenneth, rest, get better. If you've anything like we've been over the last few weeks, we've had our butts kicked by this. So please get better. And Jeffrem, yes, we would love for you to use your home setting with Untold Destiny in mind. And you know, we would help you as well. So that's fantastic. So with that, it's good night for him.
It's good night from her. Good night.
Night.